Well, welcome in wherever you are around the world for Stage 7 of the 25th edition of the magnificent tour of Qinghai. Stage 6 ended up having to be cancelled ultimately due to very, very cold weather at extraordinary levels of altitude above sea level. Riders here at 3,800 metres. After careful discussions with the chief commissaires and the race referees, they decided that from a safety point of view, the stage would not continue. A number of riders simply not being able to move their hands, clearly affecting braking. Obviously, hypothermia was also another risk. It didn't stop, though, a number of athletes by securing valuable King of the Mountain points in the early climbs. Jonas Rapp would move himself into the King of the Mountains jersey. Edward Cruz from Bardiani CFS7 Sabre team was another one who benefited from getting in the early break. And Christian Rodriguez from XDS Astana team also benefiting as well. Cyrus Monk, the young Australian, picking up valuable King of the Mountain points as well. A number of the riders were disappointed with the decision. Other riders, well, more than happy to have the rest of the day to recover after what Stage 5 had thrown at them, which was incredibly brutal. It would mean that things on GC would not change overnight. Jonathan Casado from World Top Rota Chengdu team would remain in the yellow jersey heading into Stage 7. Man here riding for the World Top Rota Chengdu team. He has been brilliant all week. Disappointment probably more from the likes of Jan Castellon, Heinok Mulubran, who saw today's stage as an opportunity to pull back the valuable time on Cathado. He had 9 seconds over Jan Castellon and 21 seconds over Heinok Mulubran. Emmanuel Bookman from Cofidis, man who had finished 4th in the Tour de France back in 2019, seemed to accept the decision okay. Never easy for the UCI and the chief commissaires to make these decisions. They ultimately want it to be a complete 8-day stage race. But as these images show, when your altitude's around 12,500 feet, things can quickly turn from being a safe race to potentially an unsafe race. And ultimately, it's about athlete safety. And so heading into Stage 7, this is how things sit. It is Jonathan Cathado, the Colombian, who leads 9 seconds over the Spanish rider Jan Castellon, and then the defending champion from Eritrea, Heinok Mulubran. Today's Stage 7 starts in the town of Gangcha.
Yeah, absolutely.
And will finish in the town of Qinghai. A sprinter stage, a relatively flat stage of 105.4 kilometres. An opportunity, however, for the riders to be introduced into a very enthusiastic public here in this very proud town of Gangcha. Euskaltel Euskadi, well, they have been superb all week. The Spanish outfit in their famous orange colours. They'll be looking to try and set the stage one up today for Yuri Patel. The Burgos boys, always here in numbers, always race hard. Eric Fagundes, who finished second in this race back in 2023, still in contention, the man from Uruguay. They also have the road race, the Continental African champion in their team, Mihawi Kudus, number 26. 22 teams started this year's 25th edition of the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai. 150 riders at the sign-in. Officially, just 96 riders remain due to the brutality of the race, due to the high altitude. 7-11, just the 2 riders after starting with a contingent of 7. Leaning Star, and there he is, Alexander Selby, who will be hoping to pick up yet again another stage win. 2 last year, he's already had a stage win on the first stage in the downtown city of Sydney, the capital city of the Qinghai province. Kaha Rural, well, they'll be looking to try and set the stage win up for Yuri Latau, and also looking to try and see if they can still move Jan Castellon back into the yellow jersey. There is the man who is the leading Asian rider, riding for the Tiandu Hotel team. That is the man from Iran, Saeed Sabradeh. Our King of the Mountains race leader heading into stage 7 is Jonas Rapp, the big German. He thoroughly deserves to be in the polka dot jersey. He's ridden brilliantly all week. He's been very aggressive. There'll be frustration, however, for the Astana team. With yesterday's stage being cancelled, today's stage being shortened, no real opportunity for the likes of Mulubran to pull back that valuable time. They want the mountains, they want the big climbs, they want to put the hurt on the rest of the teams. Always very good at Team Polti to visit Malta. They'll be looking to try and set the stage victory up today for their main man, Manuel Pineva.
He has had a stint in the green jersey.
But the responsibility in protecting and defending the yellow jersey sits on the wheel top rotor Chengdu team. There's Jonathan Cathado there, wears the yellow jersey. They have a very good group of bike riders from right around the world supporting him today. Here is Heinok Mulubran, won it in 2023, won it in 2025. Currently sits 3rd on GC. Eritrea is a quality bike rider. He is a class act. He knows how to win here. He is comfortable with his head above the clouds. So heading into today's stage, 13 degrees, low humidity, not a lot of wind, but if it does pick up, it could be crosswinds. It could make for a tough day. Always plenty of camaraderie amongst the teams prior at the start of any stage. I wonder how this man is feeling. Jonathan Cathado. Superb week for him. Almost having to do it solo a lot of the time. But he's tough, he's tenacious, he's taken his chance. Jonas Rapp won stage 5 in a bit of a solo breakaway. Deserved the victory and was delighted with what was a famous win for him. Green jersey, sprinter's jersey sits on the shoulders of this man, Heinok Mulubran. He really, though, wants to leave here in yellow. As mentioned, the man from Iran, Saeed Sabradeh, a real veteran. One of the nice guys in the sport of cycling. So stage 7 from Gangsha to Zhihaizhen, 105.4 kilometres. Got away at 12:15 local time. Neutral start. This was earlier in the day. Highest climb of this year's tour was expected to come at around about the 90-kilometre mark today, but due to, again, extreme weather conditions at 4,000 metres, which was the top of the climb, the race directors, the UCI officials had no choice but to shorten the stage, keep the riders down at around about 10,000 feet above sea level and make the stage relatively flat, which means it does change the dynamic of today's stage. It very much means that the sprinters will have another opportunity for another race win. As mentioned, 150 riders starting. It's a much smaller peloton now with just 96 riders remaining. In fact, only 2 teams have their full contingent still in this year's tour of magnificent Qinghai, and that is the team from Bari, Arni, CSF7, the Italian setup, and also the Chinese trade team Leaning Star. Astana have Christian Rodriguez, Anton Kouzman still in the race, Heinok Mulubran, man who rode brilliantly yesterday, Darren Van Beckham, and Pierre-Henri Basset, another one of the French riders in this year's race. town of Gangcha, surrounded by this wonderful rapeseed. This yellow flower pretty much sits on the lake shore of Lake Qinghai, the largest lake in China, a salt lake. Sits around about 3,000 metres above sea level, 10,000 feet there or thereabouts. And so the white flag dropped and riders got underway. Automatically seen the team there from Ryan Villa Valkenburg looking to go to the front in their green and orange strip. Some absolutely stunning looking uniforms, race jerseys this year. Burgos always look remarkable in their purple and crimson with white. Another one of the teams is the World Top Rotor Chengdu team. We do expect them to do a lot of work today on the front, trying to protect their man in yellow. This was just early on, a couple of riders just dropping back to their team vehicles and then having to ride onto the back of the peloton, including the leading Asian rider, Saeed Savraday. As expected, a number of riders did try and get up the road early, but with the peloton sitting well above 50 kilometres an hour and the boys from the Chengdu cycling team on the front, it was always going to be hard for anybody to stay away. Heinrich Mühlebran there, automatically onto the nutritional race plan. It's just automatic at this level, knowing when to eat, knowing when to drink. So these are the live pictures coming off the road. So I can tell you there are 3 sprint stages up for grabs today at 26.2 kilometres, 56.3 and 67.4. The first sprint at 26.2 kilometres went the way of Heinrich Mühlebran. Raman Shishku picked up a valuable 3 points, and Jonathan Cathado, now race leader, picking up 1 point, also a 3-second time bonus going the way of Heinrich Mühlebran. So with Jonathan Cathado also picking up a 1-second time bonus, officially means that Mühlebran has pulled back just 2 seconds on the race leader. And heading into this stage, the gap between the man in yellow, Jonathan Cathado, and Heinrich Mühlebran was 21 seconds, so that gap down to 19. So you can just have a look at the altitude there, 3,250 metres. Might reach as high as 3,350 metres. So we're looking at certainly well above 10,000 feet above sea level. Weather been changing. It's been a tour that's been going for 25 years now, and certainly over the last 3 editions of it, the weather's been good. This arguably has been one of the wettest years, one of the coldest years in this beautiful part of China. But road cyclists are used to it. That is the nature of the game. I guess the moral of the story is, for all cyclists out there, you never know what the weather's going to throw at you. So on those cold, miserable days when you're training and you've got a race coming up, or whether it be at a triathlon level, whether it be road cycling level, get out in the rain, get out of the conditions, show your body in training what might happen on race day as we sort of move our way up through the peloton. That colours there, that is the CSF Bardiani team. Caja Rural, we've got a team in the Tour de France sitting there. They'll be looking to try and set the stage victory up today for their man in this year's race, outstanding sprinter in Yuri Latau. Saeed Savraday there, the leading Asian rider with the blue helmet on. Moving up the outside to Kofidis. Got Alex Renard still in that race, Gael Yolande, Emmanuel Bookman, Sylvain Moniquet, and Nicolas de Beaumarchais. So 3 French riders. One rider from Belgium making up that Cofidis team. Alexander Selby sitting there in the white helmet from Li Ning Star alongside of Heinok Mulubrand. Selby be looking to try and take that sprinter's jersey, but I think more importantly he'll be looking to try and yet again win another stage. Currently sits on 32 points. Mulubrand has picked up a valuable 5 points already today. So it's going to be a difficult ask for Selby to take the sprinter's jersey off the shoulders of Mulubrand. But can he pick up a second stage victory after winning stage one, the man from Li Ning Star? Just a part of the wildlife that exists here in the Qinghai province. It really is a stunning part of the world. Every spring, tens of thousands of Tibetan antelope migrate across the Qinghai to their traditional calving grounds in the Hongxi region. And that is one of the gazelles that I think we saw yesterday, actually, when we visited the lake shores of Lake Qinghai. A lot of environmental work being done up in this part of the world with some endangered species and protection of wildlife. Snow leopards are another one that inhabit the mountains of Qinghai, making it one of the species' most important strongholds anywhere in the world. There's also the wild yak, the Tibetan antelope, the Tibetan gazelle, wolves, brown bears, and Eurasian lynx. So a real eclectic mix of wildlife, of course a lot of bird life as well up in this part of northwestern China. So rain, it is cold, but the pleasing thing is no crosswinds for the riders to have to negotiate at this point. I think they'll all be pretty happy to have a pretty comfortable day in the peloton. No one's really looked to try and attack and go up the road. Chance for the climbers to maybe just flush the legs a little bit before the final stage tomorrow. Number 142 looking pretty comfortable there, enjoying conversation, and that is Matthias Bergholt, the Danish rider, Bergholt. Good to see the crowds out here. Very much sort of a nomadic lifestyle up in this part of northwestern China. As we now see the boys from Astana taking the lead out train, trying to set Heinok Mulubrand up for the second of the sprint points at 56.3 kilometres. There are time bonuses up for grabs. Immediately looking at Jonathan Cathido here in the yellow helmet, trying to stay there. Alexander Selby as well, looking to try and pick up those points. And might have been Selby over Mulubrand. We will confirm those results for you. There it is, Roman Shishku. In fact, that was the earlier sprint stage. My apologies. We talked about that earlier at 26.2 kilometres. So one rider there going off the road. Looks like very much one of the riders from Kaha Rural by the looks of it. Yuri Leitao is their sprinter, their man they'll be looking to try and pick up the stage victory. They've still got Sergei Dada in that team, Javier Ibanez, Mika Villa and Jan Castellon, who was actually in the yellow jersey on stage 3, rode brilliantly. Jan Castellon currently sits third in the sprinters category, sitting there on 33 points. Currently second on GC, 9 seconds back on our race leader, Jonathan Cathido. So still an opportunity here for Kaha Rural to maybe deal some cards, play a hand, see if they can lure teams into mistakes or somehow manage to get Castellon that additional 9 seconds. So it is Javier Ibanez, the rider number 34, the Spanish rider who has decided to try and get up the road. He is a 24-year-old, third at the national championships at under 23 level in the individual time trial in his native country of Spain. Fourth in the King of the Mountains in the Croatian race back in 2025. More of a hill climber than a sprinter. Going to be joined by another rider here, so if they could get 2 or 3 more to jump across and bridge a gap, they've got a good little group that can work effectively together. I'm not sure 2's going to be enough, and that peloton's sitting on about 50 odd kilometres an hour. We have just been told that through the first hour of the race, the average speed has been around about 44, almost 45 kilometres an hour. Yellow flower there in the background is rapeseed used in canola oil. Very, very prominent in this part of northwestern China. It actually just frames this region so beautifully, just makes it pop, brings it out. So these two didn't get far. Peloton not really allowing for it. So rider there from, it's like Astana on the front, joined by the Chengdu team, just pulling those 2 riders back. And there is Christian Rodriguez, the team leader for Astana, has done a superb job in terms of trying to set the race up for Hainok Mulu-Brunt. Just hasn't quite worked out their way. They've certainly taken their chances. They certainly have asked questions of the peloton. They're probably been the most aggressive tactical team. But in the sport of cycling, it's not always fair, and other riders have maybe benefited from it, and particularly our man in the yellow jersey, Jonathan Cathado, who has just really sat on them, covered them, and then attacked them. So a few more other interesting bits of information regarding the Qinghai province. It sits on the northeastern edge of the Tibetan Plateau, often referred to as the roof of the world, with most of the province lying above 3,000 metres. Three of Asia's great rivers begin in this region: the Yellow River, the Yangtze River, and the Mekong. All have their headwaters here. And because of those river sources, Qinghai is often referred to as Asia's water tower, supplying water to hundreds of millions of people downstream. And the lake itself, it covers more than 4,300 square kilometres. So you can just have a look at the pain train here, as I like to call it. Not much of a pain train, might be a bit painful for the rider on the front. You can just see the dynamics of that bunch. Riders at the back, pushing the riders at the front, pulling the riders behind. 2 forces working together. Find yourself sitting in the middle of that. You probably play cards, have a good conversation, yet still travelling at pretty high speeds. As we look up the road, it'll feel a bit like no man's land. It'll feel a little bit repetitive with the scenery not changing particularly. It's on such a grand scale up here in northwestern China. So it'll feel a little bit like Groundhog Day at times for a number of these riders. So they'll be trying to break it up by having conversations. That is the team from World Top Rota Chengdu team that are supporting their race leader today. And of that team, only Li Chaoyi, one of the riders from the People's Republic of China, is no longer in the race, but Peter Rukhanov, Russian rider, Zhao Junqi, one of the Chinese riders in that team, Andrei Stepanov, another one of the Russian riders, Idebold, a Mongolian rider as well, third Russian rider, Berezniak, Alexander Berezniak, riding at number 207. So deciding today, let's just get on the front, let's just set a tempo, let's not really allow anyone to get up the road. I mean, when you're sitting above 50 kilometres an hour, it's very hard for one rider to go off the front. They might be able to do it, they just simply can't sustain it. You've really just got to have the bunch deciding that they're okay for a break to go up the road for it to allow it to happen. Doesn't look like it's going to be the case today, particularly with only 56 kilometres remaining. So just going up on the left-hand side there is Jonathan Cathito, our race leader. He's been making sure that he's protected, doesn't want to get caught up in any potential crashes. Stay towards the front, stay around his teammates. If anything does happen, they can always drop back and ride him back up. Equally too, though, we are seeing the boys from Astana moving down the outside as well. So the Astana team, they've still got Christian Rodriguez, number 1, Anton Koosman, number 2, as we've mentioned, the man from Eritrea, Hanoch Mulubrand, Darren Van Beckham, and then Pierre-Henri Basset. So of the 7 riders that started, still 5 in the race for Astana. They will come into the town of Jiaozhen. It's known as Atomic City. It's located in the Xinyan grassland in the Haiyan County of the Qinghai province. And it is a former top-secret nuclear weapons research and production base, known historically as Chinese first nuclear weapons development base. They've got a lovely little souvenir shop, and yeah, you'd be surprised at the type of souvenirs they do very much celebrate. I guess their nuclear weapons development back in the 1960s. Town sits around about 100 kilometres northwest of Xining, the capital of the Qinghai province, where we had stage 1 of this year's tour. Had some really tough stages this year. As we look at the overall team classifications, and it is Bardiani CSF 7 Sabre team that does win. A lead at the moment, almost 9 minutes over the Astana team. Team Pulte Visit Malta sitting there in 3rd overall. Good to see Wheel Top Road, a Chengdu team in the mix as well. Chengdu, of course, city of about 20 million people, hosted the World Games last year, one of the biggest sporting events in the world. Wonderful global coverage of that event. We just have a look at these wonderful shots coming off our helicopter. I don't know, there's almost a mystique, isn't there, about road cycling when you start to get that fog and that little bit of sleet rain, and you're out there and this is all you've ever dreamed of, and you're suffering a little bit. You're going through the highs and the lows. You've got like-minded people around you, and you couldn't be further from your homeland. You almost feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but in a strange kind of way, you know you're living the dream. Little undulation coming. More of a power climb. Be an interesting opportunity to see whether anybody does take the opportunity to look to attack the main peloton. It's going to require more than one to do it. The Australian team, the body wrap team, Cachet body wrap team, young team, continental team, so 3rd tier of professional road cycling, but a really good development team for the likes of Matthew Greenwood, William Heffernan, Alistair Christie Johnson and Oscar Gallagher are still the 4 Australian riders riding for that team. As we still see the Chengdu team on the front, driving the bus here. Interesting, just having a look through at some of the statistics. A number of the top competitors have never won a UCI race in China. When we went to UCI, winning a stage in professional road, Saeed Savraday, the veteran, who's in the blue jersey for the leading Asian rider. Jonathan Cathito, who currently sits in the yellow jersey, he's never actually won a race here in Asia, so it could be his moment, say, what, 26, 27 hours from now, maybe 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at the end of stage 8. Mohawi Kudus, who's riding for the Burgos team, another one of these remarkable riders out of Eritrea. The current African Continental Champion. He's riding in that jersey as well, blended into those trade colours. And also Eduardo Sepulveda is another rider who's never won a race here in China previously. He's been here a number of times. A man who rides for Li Ning Star, the Argentinian. He would have been delighted with that win over England yesterday in the semi-finals of the World Cup. Imagine he can't wait till Monday morning China time to watch that World Cup final between his home nation of Argentina, the defending champions, and of course the might of Spain. Messi versus Yamin Lamal. So this little climb, nothing of real concern for them. They'll get to the top, it'll be a little bit of a descent again. You can just see the pace has just dropped off a little bit more spread out that peloton, a lot more critical mass in the middle of it. And if you're not a great climber, always just make your way to the top of front of the peloton, so that by the time you get to the climb, if you are struggling a little bit, you're still on the back of the peloton at the top. Be on the back and then just drift off and find yourself in a world of trouble, find yourself being isolated. So I hope you are enjoying the coverage. Nice collaboration here between the sports marketing company Evertop, Spanish international broadcasters ISB, world leaders, and of course Chinese Central Television. So it does look like it is Xiao Jun Chi, who is on the front riding four-wheel top rotor Chengdu team with the white, and then the blues slowly moving their way through that uniform, and of course riding for their man in yellow, Jonathan Cathado. So that rain now starts to come down quite heavy. It will be cold out here for the riders. As mentioned, around about 11,000 feet, so we're sort of talking sort of 3,600 metres above sea level. And now the pace does go back on, so we talked earlier about the critical mass at the top of the climb. Now we've got the one big long line. That's where you do need to focus. So just give you an idea of, I guess, some of the issues that the riders face when they're riding at this height. So when you start to get up above 1,500 to 2,000 metres or 5,000 to 6,500 feet, you begin to notice the effects. Heart rate increases for the same effort. Breathing becomes deeper and faster. And when you start to get around 2,400 metres, so we're talking 8,000 feet, your endurance performance does start to decline noticeably. You struggle to recover between repeated attacks. So if it's constantly attacking, you're getting on, having to chase, then that does take a toll. And now we are looking for those valuable sprint points. So this is the sprint stage here at 67.4 kilometres. We will confirm those results for you shortly. But I know Hanoch Mulu-Brown looking to try and desperately pick up some valuable bonus points. Yeah, just going back to altitude, anything above 10,000 feet, which these riders are at, oxygen availability is roughly 30% lower than at sea level. Doesn't matter how good you are, even world-class athletes will feel the effects. Your threshold power, which is pretty much your sort of almost optimal power for a decent period of time, will, you know, decrease by about 10 to 20%. And that does depend on acclimatisation. If you have managed to acclimatise and spent 3 weeks up at this altitude, it probably won't be as noticeable. And again, one of the big dangers too is attacking too early. You'll often blow up, and you'll do it spectacularly, trust me on that one. So what the riders will feel a little bit more at these levels of altitude are heavy legs, much earlier than normal. Your breathing becomes laboured. As mentioned earlier, higher heart rate at the same speed. less ability to produce those explosive accelerations. Recovery from attacks take a lot longer. Okay, so cat and mouse here going on. Riders looking to maybe try and ride off the front here, see if they can get into a little bit of a mini break. No one's having... the members of the board, Chengdu cycling team, the likes of Astana, are having none of it. Immediately jump onto the wheel and look to shut down any particular breaks that might be happening. It might have been Lucas DeRossi there from the China Anta Mentec team who was attacking. Possibly Jesper Rasch as well. Just the 3 riders remaining out of the 7 that did start in that race. Alexandra Konchiev as well, the Italian bike rider, still in that China Anta Mentec cycling team. Very much wearing the colours that almost, or probably the closest, I guess, to the People's Republic of China national flags and national colours. Now, another rider looking to go. This is where it can get tough when you just get the 1-2 punch. We talked about the altitude, that ability to keep chasing these riders, that ability to recover between accelerations becomes a lot harder. And a lot of riders will be aware of that, and so they will look to hit 1 break, 2 breaks. Someone maybe hit them 3rd or 4th time. It might just be enough for the bungee cord to break, or those on the front of the peloton doing all the chasing to wave the white flag and say, you know what, mate, go up the road for a couple of minutes. We're happy to hang you out, as we take in some of the more remarkable wildlife that exists in this Qinghai region. And they've got Bird Island here. It's one of Asia's most important breeding sites for migratory birds, attracting species from across Central Asia each summer. That is the black-necked crane, another one of these endangered species up here, which are well and truly protected, unique to this part of the world. So might be rider here trying to work out who the rider has that's gone up the road. So it is Javier Ibanez. Possibly. No, it's not. No, that was earlier on today. So Mulubran in the green jersey. Just trying to get that jacket on. Great bike handling skills, this man. Got a teammate who's just dropped back to help him a little bit. They won't be panicking too much, the Astana boys. You can just see how much they are feeling the cold at the moment. Not wanting to get too far back though. In fact, the jacket's come off rather than going on. So Mulubran looking to try and just shed a little bit of clothing. This race started right back in 2002. It was the American rider Tom Danielson that won that year, riding for the Mercury cycling team. The great Damiano Canego, the Italian, riding for the Italian national team, won back in 2003. Ryan Cox out of South Africa, riding for Barlow World, which was the... Chris Froome also rode for Barlow World, another South African come Englishman who would go on and win the Tour de France. So Cox did win in 2004. So it is the rider here coming from another one of the Asian trade teams, and that is the Rougai Insurance Windspace team. Carter Beardle's one of the Australians riding for that team. Christian Pita, the Colombian rider, number 137. In fact, my apologies, Christian Peta, in fact, Ecuadorian rider. Okay, now they're having another crack at getting these jackets on. It's a real process, isn't it? Just trying to support, trying to get that sleeve across. Great teamwork there, great camaraderie. You don't want to make a mistake at this level. I'll have have their tyres relatively low pressure today as we go over the magnificent Lake Qinghai, saltwater lake, the largest in China. As mentioned, it is 3,260 metres above sea level, Qinghai Lake. 4,300 square kilometres. And despite its name, it's actually salt water. It's a saltwater lake, so the name Qinghai literally translates to blue sea or blue-green sea. And I guess it is a reference to the vast blue waters of this region. Gutsy performance deciding to go up. Might be one of our Mongolian riders, number 135, deciding to give it a little bit of a nudge. So Morale Edeni Batmang is the rider from Rujoy Insurance Windspace, the Mongolian, 5-time national championship of Mongolia in the individual time trial back in 2017 was the first time he won that, as well as winning in 2018, 2021, 2023. He is also the 3-time national champion in the road race, having won his national championship back in 2018, 2020, 2022, and was the Asian Continental champion at under 23 level in the individual time trial back in 2016. He's won a stage in the Tour of Thailand, so he's a very experienced bike rider. He's not afraid to clearly put himself on the hurt box and ask some questions to the rest of the peloton. So you can just see just how cold it is up here. All got their arm warmers on. You've got to understand a lot of these cyclists, you know, 55, 56 kilograms, probably not heaviest rider in the peloton, might be 70, mid-70s. No real body fat on them, so they do feel the cold. Just got to be a little bit careful there, getting too much outside assistance from his team vehicle. But still the Chengdu boys on the front, along with the Astana boys, just looking to control the front of the bike race. 10-second gap now out to our man out in front. Morale Edeni Batmang. So 40 kilometres ago, they'll do that comfortably within the hour. As we just have a look at some of the magnificent bike technology too. Riding much wider tyres these days, around about 28 mils. They'll have about 60 to 70 psi on those tyres today. And this is relatively flat stage. Some of the bikes might be set up just with the one big chainring on the front. And we have a look at the disc brakes too, which has been the real evolution in the sport of cycling in the last 10 to 15 years.
Alles samen. Mooie poging.
Still a bit of a debate goes on these days. There's still the odd rider that will ride with the old rim brakes. I guess some of the advantages and disadvantages. Disc brakes, well, outstanding stopping power. Rim brakes, arguably a lighter. Disc brakes excellent in the wet. Rim brakes obviously more simple in regards to maintenance. Yeah, rim brakes obviously less expensive for the average everyday rider, but the other advantage is just better modulation, better for descending, less hand fatigue, which is really important. That was part of the real reason yesterday for cancelling the stage. Was so many riders' hands were just absolutely frozen, and when you've got big descents, you've got to make sure that these athletes can squeeze those brakes. And I guess the other thing too, with the greater tyre width these days on the bike, the disc brakes are just a lot more compatible too. They basically are compatible with any tyre width. Probably the best way of thinking of rim brakes when you're thinking about squeezing the wheel itself to slow the bike down. The disc brakes use a dedicated rotor at the hub, much like I guess a motorbike or a car, and that result is a stronger, more consistent braking, especially in the wet or on long mountain descents. And that's really one of the reasons why professional peloton these days has completely switched to disc brakes. They also allow riders to run wider tyres at lower pressure, as mentioned, and yeah, just generally improving grip comfort and even speed over real-world road surfaces. So always so much technology, almost so much science, and that was a little earlier today. Sprint stage, in fact, at 67.4 kilometres, so we will bring you the result of that sprint stage for you. My apologies, just getting that information fed to us. So the sprint stage at 56.3 kilometres, it was Raman Shishku who ended up picking up the 5 points, the 3-second time bonus, and then it was Sergei Dardna who picked up second place, and Henok Mulubran picking up another valuable second. Sergei Dardna for Caja Rural, 23-year-old, finished second in the finished second in the stage in the Tour of Istanbul back in 2024. Probably more of a hills specialist rather than a sprinter. So good for the man, another one of the Spanish riders for Caja Rural, picking up some valuable sprint ace points today. As we still go back here and have a look at Henok Mulubran. Just easily get himself back onto the back of the bunch. Once he's sitting back there, he'll have that brilliant drag, what we call that draft or drag coefficient, anywhere up to 30 to 40% less energy sitting in the middle of that peloton versus being on the front of the peloton. A few more riders now looking to try and go up the road, trying to get into a little bit of a break, but we still see that line of 6 or 7 riders at the front in a single file, meaning that they are determined to look to shut anything down. As we have a look at Shardau Island in the background. Just going back to this region, that Shardau Island, it's basically spans about 18 square kilometres. Pretty popular amongst tourists here. It's sort of become famous or known for its striking combination of desert, sand dunes, wetlands and small lakes. And again, it is incredibly unique. So here we're having another look at that Shardau Island. It's a very unique ecosystem where desert meets a wetland environment, and it's broken up into several distinct geographical features. You've got Jinsha Bay and Yinsha Bay, prominent golden and silver sand dune areas. You've got Shardau, Moon and Sun Lakes, smaller scenic lakes interspersed between the sand dunes. So again, it's hard to describe it, hard to explain it. You've got to come to this part of the world and drive it on a nice day, and you'll just sit there and go, wow, how cool is that? Not sure that these riders, even on a nice day, will necessarily be looking at it. They are well and truly into day 7. They are locked in. A little bit of frustration there being shown riders towards others, trying to get something going, trying to see if they can break away, trying to get other riders to come through and take a turn. Sort of some unwritten rules, but Bike racing is bike racing. Sometimes riders sitting third wheel, as in the case there of the Astana rider, who will just act as policeman as we go back and take in the sprint stage at 67.4 kilometres. And Heinrich Mühlebrandt, as mentioned, picking up the 1 point. That was at 56.3 in fact. Hard to explain really the grand scale of this Qinghai region. The landscape really ranges from sort of rolling alpine meadows, open grasslands, to snow-covered mountains, deserts, salt flats. You do get a chance too. Back in 2023, the final stage was in a place called Cheka, the Salt Lakes of Cheka. Do check those out. Some remarkable statues made out of saltbergs, as only the Chinese can do. You just sit there and go, wow, are they really made out of salt? Detail, the size and the scale of those statues, simply remarkable. So sitting on the front there, rider from Azarion Villa Valkenburg, the Netherlands and Dutch team. Now we've got a rider coming through from Team Polti Visit Malta. See Jonathan Cathado there picking up 2 valuable 3 points and some valuable time bonuses to take back on Heinrich Mühlebrandt. Eric Vergandes too, the man who finished second in the tour back in 2:23, currently sits in the top 5 on GC, picks up a point as well. But well done to Sergei Dada, the man from Caja Rural. So just again, if you have just joined us, confirming how things do sit. Heading into stage 7 today, it is Jonathan Cathado for Wheeltop Rotat Chengdu team, who is in the yellow jersey. Total time of 19 hours, 9 minutes and 56 seconds, 9 seconds back. Jan Castellon from Caja Rural, Spanish rider, and then 21 seconds off the yellow jersey is the defending champion, the 2-time winner of this event, Heinrich Mühlebrandt. And there is Eric Vergandes, who we just mentioned in that sprint from Burgos, who is 32 seconds back on the yellow jersey. And it's Alex Taleo from Bardiani CSF 7 Sabre team, 36 seconds back. That is our top 5. All riders looking to try and just get something going up front, but no one really having anything to do with it. It was always going to, once the stage was shortened today, it was always going to be an opportunity for the sprinters, as we just go back here and have a look at Jonathan Cathado. Not too panicked there. Normally they will drop a team rider back just to make sure that he is okay. They can ride him back up if need be, allow him to sit in the slipstream of another rider. In fact, there is one of his teammates who's done exactly that, just to make sure he was okay, number 204. And so good teamwork being shown there. 204 is the Chinese rider Xiao Junqi. Xiao Junqi, number 204. He's a 27-year-old. He's finished 3rd in the stage of the Tour of Qinghai back in 2021. He was 9th overall on GC at the Trans-Himalaya cycling race, which is arguably the highest stage race anywhere in the world, where most of the stage is well above 4,000 metres. He's had 2 5th-place finishes, also 2 in the King of the Mountains classifications in this tour, back in 221 and 222. So he's got plenty of experience. Has Junqi Xiao, or Xiao Junqi. Riders from possibly Astana having gone up the road, possibly a rider out of Bardiani CSF, just hard with the jackets and no visual on the numbers just yet. Just sitting back there at the rear of the peloton, getting a bit of a free ride at the moment, pretty comfortable. Possibly a little bit of a crosswind there, maybe just coming from the right to the left. Therefore, you always want to sit on the inside of the wheel in front of you, so that your front wheel is being blocked by the rider directly in front of you from that wind. Okay, so it's Darren van Beckham, the Dutch rider for Astana, who has gone up, in fact, so just confirming that for you. Boy, he rode incredibly well the other day for Hainok Mulubrand in stage 5. So the big man out of the Netherlands, 24 years of age, 1.76 m. He won Ronde de Lissard back in 2024, on a stage in that race as well. Good one, a second in a stage into a Lavinia back in 2024 as well. So he's had a lot of second, thirds. He's obviously had that one GC victory. He'd love an opportunity to grab another stage victory. Probably deserves it. He's been one of the more aggressive riders in this year's tour. Got to take your chance though. Got to roll the dice. So there is a risk sometimes rolling the dice, taking a bit of a gamble. It can come back and bite you. There's a saying that Las Vegas wasn't built on winners, and that's for a reason. But very much a calculated attack here from the Astana boys. A couple of riders looking to try and bridge across. Now, if 2 or 3 could join them. 3 riders there trying to bridge up. You get a group of 4. So another rider here from the Chengdu cycling team, just really struggling with the cold. And I think is that his day? No, just looking to try and get a jacket on, maybe a bit of a wheel change at the same time. Wheel's okay by the looks of it. So just struggling with the conditions here. Peter Rukanov. Not enjoying himself at all. Trying to get maybe some warm water into him, just heat the nervous system up a little bit. See if he can find a way, just get himself in the middle of the peloton. You can just see how much he is shaking, just how cold he is. That's part of the reason they took out the climb today at 4,000 metres. Rider safety, absolutely the #1 focus. Can't have these big 4,000 metre climbs with these long descents off the back of it, and if riders' hands are frozen and can't squeeze those brakes, or are so cold that they become a little lucid, can't concentrate, can't focus. Still the man from Astana though, at the front of the race, Darren van Beckham. Absolutely just chucking it down, isn't he? He's in time trial mode, but look at the peloton in the background. They've got the snake echelon going. And I think there's some little bit of urgency now coming from some of these other teams. But they need to be organised. The Sun will be there looking to try and just break it up. Acid policemen, they've got no responsibility. Looks like a rider there from Bardiani coming across on the left-hand side. 27.5 kilometres to go. Small but very vocal crowd waiting for them at the finish line here in the town of Qinghai, simply known as Atomic City. So Peter Rukanov now having to try and get back on. You can just see how cold he is. He is struggling. He is well and truly in the hurt box. He'll be just looking to try and count this down in his head, just trying to make his way back through each of the vehicles. He's got the deep carbon rim wheels, which is very much these days the stock standard wheel of all road bikes. These used to be the wheels you'd put on simply for racing. These days, most riders train on them as well. Gone are the days of just the traditional spoked alloyed wheels with the rubber rim brakes, all carbon fibre with disc brakes. A lot of technology in the bikes. Little bike computers there on the front measuring the power output, which is measured in watts every time they press down on those pedals in that circular motion. And they'll all know what their optimal wattage is over a long period of time. It'll be based on how many watts per kilogram of body weight. Riders at this level probably pushing, when they decide to, pushing anywhere between 6 and 7 watts per kilogram of body weight. And then it's about trying to maintain that for the longest period of time as possible. He'll know what he's capable of doing over 21 to 30 kilometres or even on time. What sort of watts can I push for 30 minutes? You know what his computer is telling them. Nice thing about the wattage and those little bike computers, it doesn't matter the road surface. It's all about watts. You could get some really good road surfaces with a tailwind and ride 50 kilometres an hour. You can get really bad road surfaces with a headwind where you're only struggling riding 25 kilometres an hour. But as long as you're pushing the same watts, you know you're being efficient, you know you're being effective. Power through the pedals won't change. Hearing that it might be Lorenzo, number 66, possibly looking to try and come across. It might be Lorenzo Mascarelli, one of the Italian riders for MBH Bank CSB Telecom, looking to try and bridge the gap up to the rider from Astana. Yeah, one of the hardest things in trying to maintain wattage is actually on the downhill. You actually have to work that much harder on the downhill to keep your watts up. So if your coach says, look, I want you to go and push 270 watts for 30 minutes, it's not actually that difficult sometimes going up a hill because you're naturally pressing. You've actually naturally got a load on the bike. On the downhill, you've got to work incredibly hard to try and keep that wattage up. So this looks like possibly one of the boys from Bardiani coming across as well. Number 17, is it Eric Zinnancello, possibly their sprinter. So you believe his best chance maybe is in a break today. But significant little break at the moment. Really good to see these three finally getting away, or a little group getting away. Peloton, you can see in the background, spread across the road, so not quite the urgency we once saw. So time gap we're hearing from the official race radio is 18 seconds. So there we go, Lorenzo Mascarelli, and it is Tommaso Nencini, in fact. Okay, number 72, there we go, so that's confirmed for us. So Tommaso Nencini from Solution Tech Nippo Rally team. And there is Tongbao Mountain in the background. It's always hard when you drive through here thinking, well, I'm sitting along here nicely at 3,000 metres above sea level. I can tell you that Tongbao Mountain sits at 4,024 metres. Another one of the big tourist attractions in this region, so 360-degree views. So 24 seconds is the gap to our leading riders. So there you go, 25 kilometres, those little signs will start to just maybe change a little bit of the thinking in the peloton. So our leading group is Darren Van Beckham out of the Astana team. Number 66, Lorenzo Mascarelli out of the MBH Bank CSB Telecom 14, and number 72 as well, the Selection Tech Nippo Rally team, and that is Tommaso Nencini. just going through a number of countries represented. The most countries represented at this year's Tour of Magnificent Qinghai was the People's Republic of China with 26. The Italians had 17, in fact 19 riders on the start line. Spain had 17 riders. Australia had 12, the Netherlands 10, France 9. Just going through some of the other countries that have represented this year. We have a rider from Cyprus, rider from Latvia, Kazakhstan, Slovenia, Ireland, Mauritius, Hong Kong, Taiwan, New Zealand, Argentina, Eritrea, Iran. So very much a race that attracts riders from right around the world. So 28 seconds we've been told that gap is. So good work being done by those three riders in that break. Now, there's no plan B here, so they just have to continue to put the power down. Absolutely just sit there, help each other, buy into it, take their turn. Just hope the peloton look at each other, and these three can then ultimately determine who is the best when it comes to a sprint finish, who can grab the stage. Darren van Becken riding for Astana. Not really much of a sprinter, more of a climber, more of a GC rider. As mentioned earlier, 24 years of age. Lorenzo Mascarelli from MBH Bank CSB Telecom Fort. Again, more of a climber. Does have a bit of reputation for being able to sprint, so he might just be the favourite of the three if it does come down to a little bit of a sprint finish, but if they do manage to stay away. Tommaso Nencini, the Italian, 25-year-old, born in Florence. Now, he does describe himself as a sprinter, so just correct myself there, and Nencini, Tommaso, if these three riders were to get away, is certainly the best of the three when it comes to a sprint finish, the Italian. That gap's just 25 seconds. This peloton can pull that back very, very quickly in a very short period of time. Interesting, just going back through the 25 years of this race. Tyler Hamilton, one of the great American riders, riding for Rock Racing, won this race back in 2028. Andrei Mizarov, the Kazakhstan rider, riding for Tezbra's petrochemical team, back won in 2009. First ever athlete out of the People's Republic of China to win this race was Zhang Zhizhan, riding for the Tianyude Hotel cycling team. That was during the COVID era back in 2021. And then in 2022, another rider out of the People's Republic of China would win this race, and that would be Lian Jiankun, riding for the Pingtang International Tourism Island cycling team. They are the only two athletes out of the host nation to win it. A number of Colombians have won it over the years. Ina Nagiri riding for Agia, riding for Team Mazana, won it back in 2018. And the other one was Robinson Chalabud for Median, won it back in 2019, the Colombian rider. Ecuador's Jefferson Cepeda won the race back in 2024, riding for Caja Rural Seguros. Very, very good performance and very, very good ride from them. Narrowly getting the victory over the great Henak Mulu Brown, who'd won it the year before, and then of course would win it last year as well. So 19.2 kilometres. Weather has just churned a little bit. It's a slight uphill run through to the finish line here. Just looking from the commentary position at the end of the stage. A little bit of a wind still just starting to pick up too, so it'll be interesting to see whether that does have any impact on this race as we now start to see the visit. The Team Polti Visit Malta Italian team. They have said, hey, we want to try and shut this down. They'll be looking to try and set this stage victory up today for their man, Manuel Pineva, who actually won stage 1 of this race back in 2025. He's certainly capable today. He'll have to keep his eye, though, on Alexander Selby out of Li Ning Star, who had a remarkable statistic present itself to us earlier in the week, where it said that he has won 45% of every sprint finish he's been involved in 2026. So you can see the Astana boys out to the left in the blue. And there is the team from Cofidis as well, one of the great famous teams. So number 216, enjoying his day out here in the cold, wet, high altitude conditions of Qinghai. Ali Shotaban, the man from Iran, so a couple of Iranian riders, 1.70 m, fourth at the Asian Games in the men's road race back in 2023 here in China. As we now just start to see these three looking to try and just see if they can stay clear. Bit of urgency still coming now. So Darren Van Beckham, the rider from Astana, saying, come on boys, need a little bit more out of you. In fact, he's looking to try and just drop them, so he's looking to try and go in solo. Maybe he just feels he's got a better chance here, Darren Van Beckham. Gutsy stuff though, big attack, and it's certainly hurt the two behind. Not sure they're going to get back on the wheel here. Decided to go, make it a time trial, 17.4 kilometres to go. Came into this race 18th overall. So still a 24-second time gap. That has just been confirmed through race radio for us. Now the big long line, here it comes. So now starting to put some urgency in, looking to try and shut it down. Again, it'll have a couple of riders there from Astana who'll just be acting as policemen, maybe sitting third or fourth wheel. They won't be coming through at all. They're going to have to roll around them if they want to get buy-in from other teams. And if they do go to the front, they'll certainly be soft pedaling. There is Henok Mulubrun sitting fourth wheel at the moment. Helicopter coverage has been superb as always, really showcasing this magnificent region. Li Ning Star now on the front. Chinese trade team who've done superb things. How to win bike races here, looking to try and set the stage victory up for Alexander Selby. Remarkable sprinter is Alexander Selby, the man from Denmark. So Selby, he is 28 years of age. He won the overall Tour of Thailand back in 2025. He's had 3 stage victories here at the Tour of Magnificent Qinghai. 2 last year, 1 this year, stage 1. He's had 5 stage victories at the Tour of Thailand over the last 2 years. 2 stage victories at the Tour of Hainan. He's had stage victories at the Tour of Huangshan, Tour of Sharjah, Tour of Shanghai. So that is part of the reason why the Li Ning Star boys are on the front. Taking in some of the commercial partners of this year's race, deservedly so too. So 6 seconds between our man in the front, riding for the Astana team, Darren Van Beckham. So fascinating race, starting to get into the business end, not just physical at this point, it starts to become mental. Just got to lock yourself in the hurt box here, throw the key away so you can stay the longest. And Kofidis, by the looks of it, might be on the front as well. Emmanuel Boekman, best placed rider for them in this year's race. What a bike rider he is. Remarkable career, Emmanuel Boekman from Kofidis. He currently sits 9th overall on GC, 6 minutes and 32 seconds back on our race leader, Jonathan Casado, the man who finished 4th in the Tour de France back in 2019. Bike handling skills will become really important. As the weather comes down, fatigue starts to kick in. We talked about just how cold some of these riders are and that ability to squeeze the brakes when need be. Things that riders will need to be mindful of. Hard to believe we started with 150 riders. We're into stage 7 and we're down to 96. Such is the brutality of this particular bike race, the altitude, the speed, the quality of the cycling. Not this man though. He has been brilliant all week. Whether he's been out of the front for at times his team leader Christian Rodriguez, whether it be for Henoch Mouloubrant, he's done everything asked of him, and now his team is saying, look, go up, have a crack, son, have a crack, see if you're good enough. You just see that pain face, as I affectionately call it. Some people describe it as a war face, an ugly face, whatever you want. Basically, as the face says, I am not in a particularly happy place here. I am suffering like you cannot imagine. I've got bonfires in the legs. I've got razor blades attacking in the lungs, trying to get oxygen in any orifice I can. And if it means through my eyelids, I'll do it that way as well. You've got to be tough. He's got a head like granite. He is being pursued, though, by two very, very good bike riders. Tommaso Nencini, the Italian from Solution Tech, Nippo Rally, and also Lorenzo Mascarelli from MBH Bank CSB Telecom. Just have a look at the cadence there, nice smooth cadence being shown still from both riders. That 360-degree motion, wanting to make sure that there's no chink in that turn. You just want to keep that power even throughout that entire 360 degrees, whether it be the pressing down motion of the pedal, whether it be the pulling up motion. Just really smooth, nice high cadence if you can. Some athletes will naturally lean on a slightly harder gear, therefore the cadence will be slightly lower. And if you're not a cycling aficionado, what we mean by that, just simply the number of time they turn the pedals in a minute. It's a real... yeah, it's just one of those stock standard measurements in cycling, cadence. Just see the hurt now starting to go on the face of some of these riders. It's not just about today, it's been about the accumulation fatigue over the last 7 days at high altitudes. You just sense this break will come back at some point because there is some serious hard work going on the front. It does look like it is the team from Team Polte Visit Malta who are doing the work. A little flick of the elbow says come through, but not a lot of work being done. Frustrating if you're trying to get the peloton to do some work. They're starting to look at each other. Kofidis there though, happy to buy into it. Interesting, the team that's probably just acting as policeman third wheel and being the disruptor is MBH Bank CSB Telecom Fort, because they do have one of their riders up the road, and so it's not in their best interest to chase it. They of course do have Lorenzo Mascarelli, and that is why the big tall figure there in the dark blue shirt with the red sort of almost armbands is sitting third wheel but not coming through and taking a turn. It's just the team tactics that are being played out. So 10.8 kilometres to go, gap is 25 seconds. So Li Ning Star will be hoping that Alexander Selby can get the job done. Kaha Rural Seguros will be hoping that it will be Yuri Leitao. The boys from Team Polte Visit Malta will be hoping they can get Manuel Panieva across the finish line. Most of these riders, I think, will just be happy to finish, get out of the cold, hopefully wake up tomorrow for the final stage and it's clear blue skies, because it can be very, very warm up here at times. It changes very quickly in this Qinghai region. Still not organised though, we can just see it. A little bit of a formation at the front, but still reasonably large amount of critical mass. 5-6 wheels back, spread across the road. It's not one big long line. Mind you might be just on a little bit of a climb here. They're about to pull the two riders back that we're looking to join the man from Astana, Darren Van Beckham. And now another rider looking to have gone off the front, looking to try and attack, now using some of this downhill just to get into that Euro tuck position and just coast for a little bit. So just confirming there that the two riders that did manage to get into the break have now been pulled back into the main peloton, Lorenzo Mascarelli, and as well as number 72, Tommaso Nencini, still just the one rider at the front of the race, and that is Darren Van Beckham, and this rider here looking to try and bridge up. One of the riders out of the Chinese trade team, China Enter Mentec cycling team, possibly could be another one of the Italians, Alexander Konchiev, Lucas de Rossi, the French rider, or possibly Jesper Rasch, the Dutch rider. So 8.4 kilometres to go. What has been another cold, wet, miserable stage. Certainly has been compelling watching it though, to be fair. Gangsha to Qinghai, simply known as Atomic City. And so slight uphill run to the finish. They will have a tailwind behind them by the looks of it, so that'll certainly benefit them. Now we see the peloton. It's up to now Li Ning Star and the sprinters teams to get onto the front, shut this down. Very, very hard to get past Alexander Selby for Li Ning Star. Sprinters coming into this year's race were Alexander Selby, Manuel Pineva, Eric Zamancello for Bardiani, Yuri Latau from Caja Rural, Marco Menenti, another one of the riders from Bardiani CSF, and then we've also got Christian Peter from Roujoy Insurance Windspace, Jesper Rasch from China Enter, so it might be Rasch that's gone up the road, seeing if he could maybe steal it. So the rider that in fact has gone up is 162, Alexander Konchiev for China Enter Mentec team, the Italian, trying to hunt down the rider from Astana, Darren Van Beckham. So Van Beckham, there is no plan B for this man. He is absolutely just in the box. He looks over his shoulder, big chain ring on the front, small gear at the back, trying to keep that cadence as high as he can go. He's in time trial mode here, well above 50 kilometres an hour. And this is the rider looking to try and bridge across. And then the peloton won't be too far back. Wonderful stuff. Alexander Konchiev, man who grew up, born in Verona, 27 years of age, has won the GC at the Tour of Malopolska back in 2025, the Tour of Lithuania. He was GC that earlier this year in the Tour of Lithuania, so he's a rider who knows how to win on the biggest stage. He's not afraid to take a chance. Gutsy performance. Is he going to join the man who's been at the front of this particular stage for a large part of the day, Darren Van Beckham? Just see how low that cadence is now, and that's just because of the gear he's pushing. Still relatively smooth though. A little bit of a stutter in that pedal motion. That's understandable with the gear he's pushing. A little bit fatigued. You can just see a little bit more body in there, bit more upper body movement. So he is fighting that machine. He is pushing a massive gear, folks. He is a rider who certainly is comfortable with his head above the clouds. Now the question is, where is that peloton? How far away are they? Will they get themselves organised enough to shut these two riders down? You'd imagine they will. One of only two teams that has a full contingent of riders still in this race is Li Ning Star. They know how good Alexander Selby is. Bardiani CSF7 have two riders who potentially could win today. Marco Menenti and Enrico Zanincello, they also have a full contingent of riders. So are they going to be the two teams at the front driving the peloton, looking to shut these two down? Settle back, 4.7 kilometres to go. These two in the fight of their life in that torture chamber. They're throwing the key away, folks. It is a brutal, brutal sport. Do they believe? He'll be hoping the peloton look at each other. He'll be hoping they're not that organised. And there's been situations throughout the week where riders have stolen stages because the peloton hasn't been organised. And it doesn't look that organised at the moment. It's spread across the road. There's no one or two teams really looking to try and chase this down at the moment. So 11 seconds between our second rider on the road, and then 4 seconds between our front rider and our second rider on the road. Now this peloton's starting to come downhill here, starting to get into the business end. Where are the boys from Li Ning Star who can set the stage victory up for their man Alexander Selby? Where are the riders from Caja Rural who potentially could set the stage victory up for Yuri Littell? More importantly, where is Team Polti Visit Malta looking to try and set this up for Manuel Penalva? Astana don't need to do the work. It is starting to come back though. They've got them in sight. Once they've got them in sight, it becomes a bit of a target. 3.4 kilometres to go. Absolutely suffering. The lactic acid in the legs. The heart rate is high. The razor blades are just attacking the lungs here. You cannot coach this, folks. This is an inherent quality. And the peloton still looks slightly disorganised. Surprised Li Ning Star just haven't come to the front and said, look, let's just shut this down. They've got a full contingent of bike riders. Possibly seen the boys from Euskasel Ustadi looking to maybe even come through here. In the orange. It's going to be close, folks. 2.9 kilometres to go. Good crowd waiting for them at the finish line. Wonderful stage beginning to develop here. The town of Qinghai, simply known as Atomic City, waits, looks to welcome these bike riders. Who will grab the stage? Who will pick up a very, very good victory? Will it be Darren Van Beckham? Will it be Alexander Konchiev from China Antimentok cycling team? Or we see the peloton hunt them down? 2.2 kilometres to go. More riders looking to try and bridge here. You can see the wind on the flags of the People's Republic of China. They're blowing. There are some environmental factors here. 2 kilometres to go. Where is Alexander Selby? These two might just have done enough at the moment. 1.7. Gutsy, courageous performance. Can they hang on? Do they believe? Wow. You cannot coach it, folks. I've said it. You've got to have a head like granite. You have so many bad days in this sport, so many bad days in training. You've got to try and remember the good days. Remind yourself how good you are. And then wake up one day and hope it all comes together. At the moment, it's starting to happen for Alexander Konchiev, because I think he might have just dropped the man who's been out in front for most of this race all day, Darren Van Beckham. And now the main peloton starts to come across with just a kilometre left to go. Will they hunt them down? Will they swallow them up? Here come now the boys from Li Ning Star. They're about to shut down Darren Van Beckham. They'll take this final turn, the long stretch up to the finish line. Can he hang on? The crowd here urging him on. They want to see athletes who have the ability to attack, the riders who have the courage to go on their own to try and win the stage. But the peloton is hunting him. It's on its way. It might just come together. They'll be starting to come into that final 500 metres. They'll see the finish line up front. 300 to go now. The peloton looks to attack. Where is Selby? It's going to come together now. Here comes Alexander Selby in the white hammer down the inside. Selby on the inside here looking, oh, it just gets nudged a little bit. They'll come up. Who gets it on the line? It might just be Selby. We'll have to wait, folks. We'll have to wait. Great finish. Can't quite sure pick it up, though. Number of different jackets on, making it very hard to sit here. But Alexander Selby from Leaning Star came right up on the inside rail there on the right-hand side. Got nudged a little bit, but did he have enough in the finish to get across and grab the stage? We will have to wait. There is a man who will stay in the yellow jersey. Might be Alexander Selby. Just trying to see who else potentially it could have been, because there was a rider there from Azerian Villa Valkenburg. We will have to wait. Still uncertain. Such was the closeness of it. Going to the photo. We will confirm that stage for you very shortly. As we do just have a look here. So Alexander Selby there just starting to got back 4th, 5th, 6th wheel. He's just getting crammed in. Gets through the gap here now. Launches himself back up on the inside. Gets a little bit of a nudge here. Now, does he manage to get himself through on the line? It's going to be close, and I think Selby might have just got it, or possibly even on the outside there from the rider, possibly from Team Pulte Visit Malta. Photo finish. 3 riders in contention, possibly 4. Photo finish is what we are hearing. That's why there has been a bit of a delay. No real celebrations just yet. It's what you want in a bike race. Oh, a number of riders there on the outside as well. Oh, boy, that is close. Rider there from... Oh, how do you pick that? Certainly, I don't think Selby's the winner. I think Selby... Oh, but he was out of shot there, wasn't he? So the angle didn't quite pick him up. That's what the technology's for. Think how long they've been out there riding, and it comes down to less than 0.001%, that time difference, when you compare it to the overall time for the stage. It's the difference between a good night's sleep and a bad night's sleep. Moral of the story is, folks, when that alarm goes at 5:30 in the morning, don't push the snooze button. It's 10 minutes a day, 70 minutes a week. Difference between maybe first and second. Certainly not suggesting any of these riders push the snooze button. So people are gathering. Photo finish again as we look back over the city here of Qinghai, known as Atomic City. Okay, so they've gone the way of Cesar Messias of Burgos. Tommaso Nencini picks up 2nd. Alexander Selby 3rd. All given the same time. Photo finish. Look at that. 5, 6 riders there. When it'll come down to thousandths of a second separating them. So Cesar Estrada. That is the young. Confirm that for you. That'll be a stunning performance if he grabs it. Cesar Messias. I actually met him the other day, the young Mexican rider, who is just 22 years of age. That would be a wonderful result for the Burgos team. And that is the official result we've got at the moment. So what a moment for the youngster. Second at the Pan American Championships at under 23 level. In fact, at the elite road racing level back in 2026, or earlier this year. So the young Mexican rider from Burgos, who was sitting probably 4 wide of where Alexander Selby was, and picks up the stage victory in a photo finish. So congratulations to the Burgos team. Really, that was anybody's race. Very difficult to pick up with the rain jackets just over the top of their traditional trade colours. But when it's all said and done, that's what the technology's for. It will also, however, mean, though, that Jonathan Cathado will stay in the yellow jersey heading into the final stage. Jan Castellon will sit there second on GC, and then Henok Mulubran. Well, it's been a remarkable stage, the penultimate stage, stage 7. A shortened stage here today from the city of Gangsha to Qinghai. Tomorrow it is the final stage of the race, but let's sit back and reflect on another remarkable day of athleticism, camaraderie, teamship, and of course, pain and suffering.